pandemic. And if you are a child of certainly the late 1980s, you may well have reignited an old passion for these. Brings it all back, doesn't it? I am talking about classic video games. If my children heard that, they'd be, what is that, Mum? Adam from Wokingham took that one step further with his passion and decided to design his own video game. It's called Velocirush. It's being part funded by a Kickstarter campaign. And he's with us on the show to talk about it this afternoon. So, Adam, presumably you're a bit of a gamer to begin with. I mean, you're not going to come at this from a cold start. So what gave you the idea to do it?
Yeah, as you said, just a child of the 80s and the 90s, always had Game Boy in my pocket as I was growing up everywhere I was traveling. And as everybody got bored in the middle of pandemic, it was trying to find things to do and interesting projects. So I thought I'd combine an old passion with a new one of drone racing. So we'd fly around in fields with goggles on and drones around. And I thought, how could I combine the two and try and make my own game out of it?
Right. So this is a game that you have created, what, for the Game Boy?
Correct. Yeah, it's on the old cartridge. You can plug it into your actual Game Boy, and off you go.
Now, I mean, you say that. I was unfamiliar with the fact that Game Boys even still existed, to be honest. So you are still able to get Game Boys, or are these all the old stock that people have preserved meticulously for decades?
More of the old stock that not always preserved as they could have been.
Right.
Yes. No, of all the ones from back in the day of how we used to play. And yes, I managed to create it on an app called GB Studio on the PC. And so you sort of build it up, make the game out, and then I have a little cartridge flasher that I can actually put the game onto the old school cartridges. So it's as old school as it gets.
So, and have you made it look old school? I mean, presumably you are working with limited technology, even though you're building this using an app. But, you know, visually, what does it look like?
It's as an old Game Boy game. I'm sure if anyone remembers, it was four shades of green that you have to play with, including black. So everything is as it was on the Game Boy. It's a full Game Boy game. So yeah, within the colors, you have a certain amount of pictures, sprites that you can put on the screen at any one time. So it's very limited in what you can do. So that was half the creative challenge of create what I have now, but within the framework of a Game Boy from back in the day.
And were you creating this for yourself at this stage? Because I get that, you know, you probably had a bit more extra time on your hands and you thought, oh, you know, I'm going to embark upon this project. But what was the end result going to be for you, Adam? Was it just something that you could play, or were you looking at marketing it longer term?
Just for me to start with, yeah, it was just a little project to keep me occupied in the evenings and the afternoons. Then as my friends that I fly drones with saw it, they were like, oh, very interested, sounds good. So it sort of picked up a bit of momentum there. And then there's quite a good crowd of people that are all into their retro gaming all across all, you know, social media and everything. So sharing it across that, and a few people said, well, I'd like to buy one. So I created the game. It's all completely finished. The box designed, it has a manual. And then I was just putting it on Kickstarter in order to find out who wanted to buy it, really. And luckily it's been successful now.
So what do you have to do in the game? I mean, what's the kind of premise of it?
So it's a timed-based trial. You have a track that you have to fly around. There's gates in there that you have to either fly through them a high setting or a low setting. And then you're timed going around, and you have to beat the times on the scoreboards, and your name's recorded on the scoreboard as you go through.
And has this kind of whetted your appetite going forwards? I mean, you know, are you going to be rivaling Super Mario Brothers in the longer term?
Well, hopefully that'd be the ultimate dream. It has definitely. What I found with the app that I was using was there was quite a lot of limitations on it. So I'm now teaching myself to code in the old school way of everything, with all the typing out of everything, so I can make a better Game Boy game. And then I'm going to hopefully create one for the Switch as well, so I can release it for the newer generations too.
Right. And do you still play it though? I mean, do you regularly play your own game? Because I would have thought you're sick to the back teeth of it by now, aren't you?
A little bit sometimes when you're testing something and it's not quite working out. But no, I do still sit down and have a play. If I find that I can still be playing it after this amount of time, I hope other people can enjoy it too. So yeah, definitely still crack it out at least a couple of times a week.
Well, listen, I mean, it sounds pretty cool, to be honest. Good to have you on. That's Adam in Wokingham, who's created his Game Boy game. It's called Velocirush. It's coming up to 10 minutes to 1. Here's Duran Duran on BBC